What's going on, everybody? Welcome to my spoiler talk. That's right, I'm going to be talking about things I didn't really get to talk about in my last review. There's a lot of things I wanted to mention, but I felt like they would have spoiled just a little too much. And now that I've had some time to think about this movie, it's getting less and less and less the more I think about it. I did some research, and this movie was fucked up by the execs. There was reshoots in this movie. Shane Black probably didn't get to use everything that he wanted to use, like all the ideas he was throwing there. They didn't really get to see their full potential, apparently. Because I did find it odd that there was these aspects thrown into this movie that really didn't get to play out. I was like, why is this even in here? The whole aspect with the kid, I feel like could have been taken out. Like, if they would have took that out, it probably would have been a better movie. But anyways, in my last review, I said that this is a movie that I would go out and buy. I gave it probably like a B minus in my opinion, or a B plus, because the action was good, and then the comedy was kind of funny. I did chuckle a couple of times, and that's hard to do for me. But I feel like this is a movie that's only worth buying if you're a Predator fan. But if you're just a casual action movie fan, this is probably just a movie you should like rent at Redbox or see on Netflix or borrow from a friend and watch it once. Because this movie does have quite a bit of flaws, a lot of flaws. And let's get into them. First off, as much as I like the characters, I talked about that. I like the characters. I was kind of worried at first, but because it's a group of like ex-military people and they're like cons. Some of them tried to shoot their commanding officers, and a couple of them like did friendly fire or whatnot. And it's just like, it was a weird group, and then you got Tourette's, like Thomas Jane has Tourette's, and I felt like that was weird. And they do have him do like his Tourette's thing a couple of times, and then I noticed that he kind of stopped. Like, at the end, he never did it again. They played it for laughs a couple of times, but then it never came back again when like things were actually, getting intense in the third act. And then Keegan-Michael Key, like the main comedic aspect of this movie, as funny as he was, a lot of his jokes were Yo Mama jokes. Other people will talk about that in their reviews, about how it's just Yo Mama jokes. But he only told like two. I think he told like two, maybe three, but there's two that I remember. And one of them actually did make me laugh. But the other one was a joke that I could have came up with, and I did hear when I was a child. Like, when you would have kids who would say, your mama's, her pussy is like a video game. It's rated E for everybody. And I think that's in the trailer, so I'm not spoiling that. Unless this is a spoiler talk. And also with the characters, there's one that didn't get fleshed out like at all. Like, you can't really say all these characters are fleshed out and you know everything about them. Like, the introductory to these characters is that cliche easy writing thing that a lot of movies do, where one character will sit down with another character, and this character will tell this character who everybody is and everything you need to know about them. Just real quick, alright? Just get it over with. Alright, we don't need to talk about it no more. That's what this movie does. But there's one of them who is nicknamed Lucky Charms. He's the Irish guy, and he's the first one to die. And this guy does not get a moment to shine. Everybody else kind of has their one-liners or their quips, their quirks. But this guy, I don't remember anything about him other than he was the first one to go. So I feel like they could have done more with that character, because I just did not give a shit about him. But everybody else, they all kind of had their thing. You had, Keegan-Michael Key and Thomas Jane, that duo. And then you had the black guy who puts cigarettes out on his tongue. He's like the main badass of this group, besides our main protagonist, McKenna. And he's the one that says, "Get to the chopper." But with these characters, like, they didn't take anything serious. They were so crazy that it was just another day at the office for them. They're like, oh shit, there's predators. Like, it's the end of the world, but we don't care. That's how our group of characters were in the first Predator. When they first went to South America, it was just another day at the office to them. They weren't worried about dying. They were saying things like, we ain't got time to bleed. But when the Predator first steps in and they know that there's something out there that can kill them, they actually feel more tense. In this movie, they don't care. Or maybe they do care, it's just not really shown. There's no moments of like real tense. It's just like, this is a movie that's mainly played out to just be action fun. Like, yeah, it's just, they're having a good time. They're not actually worried about dying, but they do know they will die. They just don't care, because Thomas Jane's character does say at one point, like, yeah, I think we're all gonna die. I just don't care. But there's no moments of real like intensity, except for when the Predator first wakes up. There's a kind of a moment of tension there, but other than that, there's none. And I kind of barely touched base on the fact that they do, like I said, they bring back like a pussy joke. They do in this movie, and that's just to pay homage to the first movie. But there's one where Thomas Jane stuttering in his Tourette's kicks in, where he says something, and Olivia Moon's like, what did you say? Did you say something about eat my pussy? What were you saying? And they play that out like a freaking Happy Times murder movie. That movie where they take a joke and they just keep playing it out as long as they feel like the welcome's there. It's like, no, you outworn your welcome it's not funny, it's not getting funnier, just stop it. Because they just kept talking about it, like, what'd you say? No, what'd you say? What would you say? It's not funny. Now, Sterling K. Brown is our human antagonist, alright? He's the human antagonist. He's that cliche, like, government guy. He's the guy who steps in, he's like, alright, I want everything. He pops like a Mento or a cashews in his mouth because he thinks he's just so badass. And he also is an antagonist who doesn't fear death. Like, he'll just kill people who work for him like it's nothing. This guy doesn't understand the concept of death, I guess. He doesn't give a shit. He's heartless. And I honestly don't understand his motivation for wanting to kill Olivia Moon and McKinnon. Like, why? What, because they've seen things, they've seen too much, and they might tell people on InfoWars about it? I don't give a shit. Like, there's aliens out there. Like, oh, we gotta kill him, he knows too much. And Sterling K. Brown, his character dies in this movie, and I have no fucking clue how. In the third act, there's so much going on, it's choppy, like, people are just dying left and right. There's just balls of, like, just explosions, and I'm just like having a hard time keeping up with it. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, somebody's head just blows up, and I have no clue who that was. 10 minutes went by, and I'm thinking the whole time, who was that? Was that one of the loonies? The guy with the beard and the hair who ends up getting his legs chopped off? I thought it was him, but it wasn't. I think it was Sterling K. Brown who got his head blown off. That's how quick things were happening in the third act, where you couldn't see, and it was just too quick. And I had no idea how Sterling died. And this movie does have a lot of blood and gore. That was like one of the main positives for this movie. If you're a gore hound, there's plenty of it. But there's so much CGI in this movie. There's blood CGI just constantly. And if you grew up with 80s horror movies and 90s horror movies, you know what real practical effect blood looks like and what CGI blood looks like. And this movie relies too much on CGI. The new concept this movie brings to make it different, that I feel like Shane Black was trying to add just to make it a little bit different and kind of go in a ballsy new direction, was add predator dogs. And the CGI for these predator dogs was weak. They kind of had that stupid, like, Freddy Krueger look from Freddy vs. Jason when he was a little slime dog. It looked like that just a little bit, but a lot better. But still not that good. But there's these dogs, and as soon as the main predator comes down to hunt down the other predator, he brings these two dogs with him. And one of them just becomes friends with the main group. Like, this main group somehow infiltrates one of these dogs, and the dog just becomes a loyal dog, a predator dog, to this group of humans. Like, how did they get it to just obey them? But that's not even important. What's weird is, like, when one of the dogs dies, and the main first predator dies, and the big bad one's still out there, Sterling, his character, the antagonist, he just knows everything. Like, he'll walk into a room, and there's the dead dog with a blanket over it, and the other dead predator, and he doesn't need any explanation. He just explains to us, like, oh yeah, I know exactly what's going on. This guy was probably a traitor, and he stole some stuff, and the other guy's hunting him down with these dogs. I didn't even uncover that thing to look at it, but I just know that it's a predator dog underneath there, and the other predator probably brought that guy with him, right? That's what happened. It's like, wow, you know a lot, buddy. And I did touch base on that in my other review. I said there was writing issues that did feel lazy. And now I'm just explaining further, because this is a spoiler talk. Now, McKinnon takes a gadget that goes on your wrist. That's the main thing. And it also has, like, the signal, which is how the other predator, like, knows where the other predator is. Because the little boy, he gets a hold of it because McKinnon sends it home. And he touches it, and it sends a signal. And now the other guy knows where it's at. The other predator. But this thing has, like, this little ball that comes out. And it's in charge of, like, making you camouflaged, right? And McKinnon takes it in the first act of the movie, and he just swallows it, right? And I have no idea how much time elapses through this movie. It kind of makes you think it's one whole big fucking day, but it could be a couple of days. But towards the end of the second act, he finally shits out this ball, and this thing has no meaning, no reason to be there. He doesn't use it to take out the predator. It's not important. It's just like he wanted to keep on to it as a souvenir, because he knew he was about to be interrogated, and he didn't want that to be in their possession, the government. So he swallowed it and took a shit later on, and now he has it, and he gave it to his son, I think, or he drops it in the woods at one point, and then Olivia Munn uses that ball to camouflage herself to sneak up on the predator, which was the only bit of usage that ball had. But it didn't even help. Like, she didn't need to sneak up on the predator. The predator was already distracted on McKinnon. So she could have just snuck up without the camouflage. But let's talk about that. She stuck up on this guy after their ship took off and went like 10 miles in one direction, and she was just left on the ground over there. And then as soon as the ship crashes, she's there in 2 minutes helping out McKinnon. And now to the little boy. Okay, we got the little boy. He's got autism. He's got like Asperger's. And he knows like so much about this fucking wrist thing. Like he just like touches it and he's like playing with the things. Like he just knows what he's touching. Maybe he doesn't, but it just felt like he kind of knew how to do some stuff that he should have known. And then he's like in a lab later on and he kind of just like, he's saying big words that no fucking 10-year-old kid would know. And like I said in my other review, he's like fixing chessboards that were in mid-game. So all the pieces were in weird spots that the children left them in. And they get knocked over and he's just like, oh, this one was here, this one was here. How the hell did you know that? That's not autism, that's not Asperger's. I got diagnosed with Asperger's when I was a kid. I don't think I do. But my Asperger's didn't make me that fucking special. And I don't know what they were going for with this kid and his abilities. It made no sense. It didn't play a role really. He's the one that hits a button that creates the shield that chops off the Predator's arm, which helps McKinnon use his own arm against him, like Jason used Freddy's arm in Freddy vs. Jason. But the little kid, really, if you think about it, I feel like you could take his aspect and that character, take him out, and you could still make a movie around it, and it'd probably be just as good. But that's, again, probably because there's a lot in this movie that I actually didn't get to see because the studio got involved and they took shit out. I just didn't know what they were going for with this little kid. It just made no sense. Like, what's so special about him? And then, like, at the last second of this movie, you know, the Predator is just hunting these people down, right? And then at the last second, he's like, you know, I actually need this little boy because he's special and he's going to help me and my people evolve and be better. We need his spine or his spinal fluid. They try to explain why they take spines out in the first couple of movies, you know, because they need our DNA to be better and evolve. I don't know. But that was just like a last second like reveal, like, oh, they want the little boy now. And then they also revealed that the first Predator who lands is actually there to help us. He drops off a separate pod, his plane crashes, but he sends a pod out with like equipment in it or something that's going to help the human race survive. And we don't get to find that out until the last minute of the movie, but it's also revealed that the Predator, he does that because he wants us to live, right? He's trying to help us out. Well, if that's true, why is the first thing he does when he crash lands on Earth is take out a group of military men in Mexico trying to take down a drug cartel or something? He just skins them and kills them right off the bat, like it's sport. It's like, you're not trying to help us, buddy, you're fucking murdering us. And then when he wakes up in the government lab later, he just wreaks havoc. And I understand it's probably because he can't, like, explain himself. Like, wait, you guys, I'm actually here to help you. Because he can't speak English. But still, it's like, dude, kill a couple people and then leave. Don't just keep killing people. Only kill what's necessary to get your ass out. You already landed your gear to help the human race survive. Just get the fuck out. There's just writing issues, man. Writing issues. Now, what's that piece of equipment he left? Well, it's a little wristband that makes an Iron Man suit. That's right, it's just an Iron Man suit, but Predator. You put it on, and it just creates the whole outfit, the whole shebang, all of it. And that's what he left on Earth. So apparently, he's going to help us create a Predator army on Earth. And the last line in this movie is McKinnon going, you know, what's that? Like, what is that thing? And McKinnon goes, that's my new suit, buddy. And then the movie's over. So this movie is trying to lead up to a sequel that's going to be what? Like a Terminator movie where there's just 1,000 Predator soldiers that are actually human? Is that what they're going for? Because I'm not going to fucking see that. But yeah, this movie just had a lot of things wrong with it, writing-wise, but it was still just... This is a take your brain out, set it aside movie. That's what it is. It's just action, see people get sliced up and just blown up in CGI effects. Which I really hate that they did that. But this is still a fun action movie to go see. So, therefore, I would still go out and see it, but I would see it, like, on cheap day. And then, if you're a Predator fan, I would still buy it. It's still worth adding to your collection. But if you're just a casual action movie fan, this isn't something that's just, like, worth paying, like, 15, 25 bucks on. So, I would just rent it. But yeah, those are my spoiler thoughts. But what did you think about the overall story of this movie? Did you find many writing flaws in it? Did you enjoy the characters as much as I did, while also kind of feeling like they fucked up in a couple spots, or overplay their hand in some areas with the jokes? Let me know what your thoughts are on this movie in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining tonight. And as always, if you want to see more rantastical, awesome content, you can do so by clicking my beautiful face for 5 seconds. And until next time, I'll be listening.